What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another exciting edition of Stick the Blame Podcast. It's another Monday. I'm here with Russ. Just get him up on the screen.
Here I am.
There he is.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the Stick the Plan Podcast. It is another Monday. Come around quick, but guess what?
Real quick this time.
We had our guests lined up. I think it was last Tuesday. Amber Harris from the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council will be on here shortly, remotely. Sorry we got started late today.
My fault.
Not really. I'm going to blame Chris.
Yeah, I wasn't going to blame Chris. I was going to take the responsibility.
So
let's blame Chris. Let's blame Dave.
But Chris was here distracting us. So I didn't write it down. They're going to kill me. I'll have to look it up. The Jackson GOP podcast studio that is affiliated with Grandma's Boy Productions has launched another podcast series called
I have it written down.
They're going to be mad.
Don't worry here.
But anyways, Kevin has allowed.
Yeah, it's something.
Kevin has allowed trusted people within the Jackson GOP, a person to come in and, although Kevin held their hand in the beginning, to touch his equipment.
Yeah.
And
I was a little anxious.
Begin recording a new series podcast. It's only a 30-minute podcast. They do.
So do they have one episode out then?
They have one out.
I didn't know that there was one out. I should probably watch
it. It's on YouTube. And as soon as we find out the title of it,
it's like Stars, Stripes, and something. I was just looking for it. I don't have it.
We do have to find that out.
Yes, it's kind of important.
And I should know because it is kind of important. And I watched the stream today, and they did a really good job. It's 30 minutes, guys. 30 minutes, straight to the topic. Most conservatives will agree, but they tend to offend people. So I'm excited about that. Chris and Dave are very active members of the Jackson GOP and good friends of ours. And yes, Kevin allowed Chris to touch his equipment.
Yeah, yes, I did. I had to go to work, so he.
And anyways, Chris was into before the stream talking and kind of distracting.
Stars and Stripes Straight Talk.
Stars and Stripes Straight Talk. I'm writing that down. Stars and Stripes Straight Talk.
Yes.
You can find that on the YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know what the channel is. I'll find that.
Just type that in.
Yeah,
that's what I do. Straight Talk.
Yeah.
I think you're going to like it. They're going to do one a week. And of course, Chris was in here talking to us about it. And normally we'd have a lot of checks done before we did, but we started late because of that. So we're blaming Chris.
Looks like Amber is here.
And Amber is here. Now, we told Amber to chime in 15 minutes after the stream starts at 2 o'clock. So we had 4 minutes to talk before Amber's in.
Amber, I don't know if you've used Rumble Studio before, but at the bottom of the screen, make sure you activate your camera and your microphone, and then you'll pop up on the screen.
She's done as many streams as Shane Trejo.
Yeah, but Rumble Studio is a little different.
Yeah, they're like...
There she is.
There's Amber.
She figured it out. All right.
How's Amber doing? My friend Amber.
I'm good. How are you?
Hold on.
He can't hear you right now, but he'll push right now.
There we go. Now you're good. We should be able to hear you now.
Say something, Amber.
Okay.
Oh,
very good.
That's my friend Amber right there. And we're happy to have her on today. She was begging to come on the street, Stick the Plan Podcast. Begging.
I was.
The only one who's ever asked to be on is you and Lance Castaway.
Yeah, Lance just showed up one day. He's like, "Can I be on? I don't really have anything, but I just want to hang out."
Sure, dude, we put you on. But no, Lance was cool. And we're happy you're here today.
Absolutely.
Amber, the topic today is going to be Bitcoin. I don't know your title, you'll tell us that, but you are working for the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council. I don't know what the hell that is. And what's your title with them?
I'm the executive director or the managing director because I'm on the board.
You've always got cool titles like that.
Yeah, thank you, Russ.
Oh, you do.
Yeah. I love that title. I think it's a really powerful.
What's your job for? What do they do? Let's start with that. What's
This is a good question.
That's a good question. So, the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council educates, advocates, and wants to integrate Bitcoin into the Michigan economy, kind of driving innovation that has been drowned out by bad policies.
All right. And you got it sent down. Hold on. Before I forget. What do you do with the Bitcoin Trade Council? What's your job? To talk to people about it like you're doing now? Sell
Well,
it?
yeah, essentially. I mean, there's a lot. It was kind of in each state right now, there's a lot of legislation kind of coming down the pike without people really knowing it or knowing what it's about.
Yeah.
So, knowing this, there's no real infrastructure in each state to kind of have the conversation we're having right now. So, coming from the political realm, I don't want to have stuff shoved down our throats. I know you don't. So, my goal is to kind of have that education. Um, to
Between what's coming down the pike legislatively and explaining to the people what's happening, why or why
exactly.
we're here. Okay. And does this have anything to correlate with? So, like Trump has somewhat embraced the
Yes.
Bitcoin notion on a federal level. I don't know how much has been done in that regard, but he has. And the state legislature is at least talking to you and other people about how do we put Bitcoin in play in Michigan government, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I actually have a follow-up question with that. That fit. Do you think that you said that they're working state by state? Do you think this should be something that they should pass federally, like more uniform? And then, I mean, obviously the states could adjust that accordingly. But I think it would help. I think it would be helpful if it was a federal thing. I think more people would know about it.
He's a federalist.
Apparently, I don't know what.
So obviously there is a
2025.
lot of there's a lot of federal work going down right
Yeah.
now in the crypto and the Bitcoin space. I think a lot of people converged on Washington. So there is a huge focus nationally, but my heart's always been in Michigan,
Right.
in local politics. So that's where the focus is because there is a huge national focus. There's actually something if you Google Bitcoin weekly that Trump's doing for the community.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And then
So
that
that
answers
is
my
there.
question. Perfect. And the other thing I thought when you were talking is, I mean, I keep up on as much as I can with it, but I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of information about the legislation going through, but people ignore it because they don't know what crypto is. They go, that has nothing to do with me, and then they move on. I think
and that's where I'm at. My exposure to crypto is the circles around me that are paying attention and involved, to people who are just a little bit, to people who are serious like yourself and others. And so I'm probably a little more knowledgeable than maybe a couple of my neighbors, but I'm a dummy when it comes to it.
Translation: he's an old guy and he hangs out with old people.
And
I know.
Yeah, I even got an American flag on my hat now. You know you're old when you start putting pins on your hat.
Yep.
I didn't wear a hat today. I was going to explain that why, but that's not for this segment of today's show. Why I don't have my Jackson GOP hat on.
We'll get
Oh no.
But it ties into the old guy thing. And when
Did you lose it, Russ?
no, I've gotten in trouble for last week's stream.
Yeah.
Oh.
You guys don't even know. I kept it secret. I cannot disclose.
How much heat this guy gets.
The Stick to the Plan podcast and Little Russ caught some heat.
We're controversial.
I caught some heat, so
not on purpose.
And the hat ties into it. Anyways,
yeah.
I don't want to go there.
No,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. That's a different path.
Oh,
So funny.
so I was talking to John Smith, and just in conversation, and you never know what him and I talked about. And after that conversation, he told me how he just jumped in one day, whatever level he's in. I have no idea. And so I said to the wife, I said, we should take our next $100, and I don't know where the hell it's going, but get with Amber or somebody smart. And where do I put my first $100 into Bitcoin? And why should I do it?
But I think that actually we should start even simpler than that.
You know
What is
I will
Bitcoin?
end with that answer though, Russ. I will end with that
Yeah,
because
okay,
that's a good ending.
That's a great, yeah, because my question is where to start too. I have some experience. I had a bad experience with Bitcoin, but that's a private thing. And but I you know, educated myself. But as of right now, should you? I guess what is Bitcoin is the best or crypto in general.
Right. Tell us, Amber.
So there are two separate, in my mind, categories. You have crypto and then you have Bitcoin.
Right.
Okay.
Right now, I think crypto is a great stock. And I don't put Bitcoin in the stock category. I put it as a commodity because of its value, the scarcity. I put it as a means of transacting.
Yes.
Others, is that John? Hi, John. John's in the chat.
Oh, is he?
I don't even have the chat up. I can pull that up right now. Oop,
see, that was distracting. That distracted me. That was
John
good.
is the only one ever in the chat.
A little echoey. Well, listen here, John.
I love it.
Yeah, okay. He was saying with AI coming out, are you scared that AI will break the security of Bitcoin algorithm? Well,
no, absolutely not. I think he's talking about the quantum computing. I think that the nodes and the way that Bitcoin is set up with the mining operation as kind of working in tandem, I don't think that the Bitcoin algorithm will be broken. I think that it's when Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonym that created Bitcoin, created it, it is the most secure network in the world. It's been trying to be hacked for 15 years now, and nobody's broken the code because of the way that the system and the protocols
algorithm is
have worked.
evolving too, from my understanding. It's always changing. You can't break something that's always changing.
Oh, you freaking Bitcoin people are already got people in the weeds. No. Right.
So yes, you're right. So that's why I come in. So I will tell you a little bit about my story. And kind of like John, I jumped in, right? I jumped in because after the 2024 election, after being in politics, seeing that Trump was elected, it was great, but I felt like the purpose wasn't there anymore, right? My purpose wasn't there anymore. And we can't really fix the world by a person, but we can fix it by a good policy. And I think that I focus more on policy now as trying to fix the world, I guess. But that's what drove me to Bitcoin.
It is a struggle fixing the world through people.
Exactly. So I'd rather focus on technology right now, something like Bitcoin that has proven itself over the 15 years while being inundated by bad press, bad media, bad actors. I mean, you have this system that has really withstood so much scrutiny and has gotten stronger because as people learn about it, they adopt it. And with adoption becomes less volatility and the price goes up. It's a really communal asset.
So you said something that I thought of too. With lack of knowledge, okay, Mrs. Russ, let's take our first $100. Let's just throw it in Bitcoin. And we are the type of people that we would learn as we go along, especially when there's money on the line, and especially as you put more money in the line, you would start to learn. But being old, and a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to throw my $100 at something without learning. I do. Who cares? It's $100, okay? I don't think $100 should kill anybody. But that'd be a good way to start learning. But then again, is there the best way that you can explain to a beginner why we should go there?
So the best reason to talk to beginners about Bitcoin is, hey, Russ, what is the worst thing about the country right now, in your opinion?
Economy.
Exactly.
For that. I was trying to think of something else because I knew that's the answer you wanted, but it is.
It's right into her hand.
Right. I knew I was.
That's really all there is the economy. And so we have such a messed up monetary system. The government screwed it all up. And the only way to get back to baseline is to embrace the innovation of what Bitcoin can do. And that's the beginning start of first look at what our system is. I paid $10 the other day for a cup of coffee.
Right.
I mean, granted, it was like a chai dirty latte, but $10 with giving a dollar tip to the person, that's not sustainable. And that's only going to increase with the way our monetary system is. We're not going to go back. We're not going to go back to $5 coffee. We're going to constantly increase because we're already here. But what Bitcoin does is it curves against inflation, because as people adopt it, the price goes up for Bitcoin, but the price of the product stays the same. Does that make sense?
I'll read the chat.
Oh, okay. I thought Kevin was over there.
Well, no, that makes sense. My experience with Bitcoin is a little bit different because I bought Bitcoin back in the day in another job I had for like 65 cents a Bitcoin.
Oh, you were one of those stories.
Yeah, well, the industry I worked in, that's how you tip
it worked out.
It worked out, and then it didn't.
Right.
I got screwed. But
so, and where's it at now? It's some unbelievable amount.
It's 104. It's hovering about 104.
Yeah.
And should that scare people away? Why is it still good to get? I mean, it's always easy in any kind of investment to kick the can. There's never, so that seems scary to me. I mean, it doesn't seem. Talk to me about that.
So I jumped in at 107. So I had the FOMO at 107, saw it go down to 70, and took that ride of, oh my gosh, I'm so excited that it's 70 now and that I can invest more. That was how I viewed it, because I know that it's only going to go up. Now, do we know what it's going to go up to? No, we don't. But once it gets to that price, we know that we're at a great trading value to give everybody the life that they deserve. And that's what I truly believe. But when I say why invest now, because Russ, we're about 2% adoption globally. That's why invest now. It's at 104,000 when we're at 2% invested globally. And
that's one thing that I think people forget. This isn't a United States thing. This is a international, around the world, huge thing.
And it's scalable. How many decimal points is it? It's what, 8 decimal points?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
right in there.
So it's scalable. So Russ, you get in and donate. You get in and you invest $10 a week in Bitcoin. You might not have a whole Bitcoin, but you'll see your investment go up.
Okay, here's the question. All right, there's 100. All right, my 100 now is worth 110. People look at it at value. Okay, I'm up $10. All right. And I've seen it. You were just at a place that you can make payment with Bitcoin. I've seen it at places. It's starting to happen. And tell me, okay, I'm up $10 here, and I have no cash. Oh, I've got this $10. How do I spend that $10? Or how do I spend the part of the 100 that I even have? I mean, how do you access that? How can you turn that into currency?
So you have an app on, well, there's ATMs, but I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know how those work, so I wouldn't be speaking to that right now, but there are ATMs where you can withdraw and deposit your currency to a crypto wallet. However, there's apps on your phone that generate a QR code, and you scan their QR code from your QR code, and it's just that simple. It's just like
any other, keys. Just like any other process. And
it's
then
just, and that's what this was created for, was a peer-to-peer payment system that didn't have to go through MasterCard, that didn't have the fraudulent transactions that we have. What Bitcoin can solve just from the fraud alone that the MasterCards and the bank industry do. Like, I'm not talking about those crypto scams. I'm not talking about the pump and dump scams. I'm not talking about the Saudi prince needs you to send me Bitcoin scams.
Right.
Those are as old as time. We'll get through that. But as far as like the I'm going to steal your credit card number and rack up all that debt and destroy your life with your social security number, that can't be done through Bitcoin.
How come it can't be? I don't get that part.
Because it's a digital wallet, but it's just like
nobody else can steal my digital wallet.
The Saudi prince cannot take this money out of my physical wallet. You have control of it, basically, in the simplest sense.
Now, I will say, and it's been many, many years, and I've got a family member going through it, but good example. I had a debt many years ago, and my direct deposit went in, and guess what? That debt collector took every penny of that. The bank that you banked with for many, many years just allowed it because I think by law they have to.
Right.
I guess that would never happen, huh?
Nope.
But I mean, the thing is also you're talking about things that if we're in the system we're currently in, that's going to keep happening.
Yeah,
for sure. And the Saudi prince scam that she spoke about, like that was around before Bitcoin. Where you would send.
I vaguely remember that news. Not paying attention.
It's still around,
right?
So the difference is Bitcoin or cash. Like actual U.S. cash. It's all the same. Scammers are scammers.
Tell me if
don't be stupid.
It talks. So
go ahead.
So it talks about personal sovereignty. You can't have personal sovereignty without having personal responsibility. Somebody said, how are we going to protect people? Well, at the same time, you have your personal sovereignty. You can't have both. We can't micromanage everybody and have our personal sovereignty for finance. We have to sometimes have a give and take. And I think you put this in people's hands and say, hey, protect those 24 seed codes. Then you're going to protect those with your life and not share them.
So
if there's just rules in place.
Well, it's just like, would I leave my wallet just sitting, on a table in a restaurant, open with the money flash? No, because someone's going to take it.
Right.
You got personal responsibility.
Right. So let's say, all right. First of all, everybody I know that has gotten into any involvement in crypto hasn't ever complained. I think there was a short time, I remember somebody getting all in and they said they kind of put the brakes on it for a minute, but I think they're still there. Most people that get in are still in as far as you know, Amber. Once they learn that is it simple? Is it, do I have access to my money? Let's say all of a sudden I've got $10,000, whether it was gained through investment or my money that it's in there. Is it accessible if I have an emergency at my home and now I need that 10 grand? Is it easily accessible?
Oh yeah, it's easily accessible. However, I mean there's different layers. If you have it on an exchange like a Coinbase, a Kraken, a Robinhood, a River, you have to take it out and put it in your personal wallet. Just kind of like
just like if you got stock investment, you got to
exactly.
It's just like if you got stock,
right?
So that'll take a day or so.
You have to sell your stock, basically.
Right.
Exactly. So but however, now that I took personal custody of my stuff, or if you take personal custody of it, it's accessible. I can send it to you, and literally I can send you Bitcoin right now if you downloaded the River app.
All right. So break this down. So you would have a certain portion, just like if you had your stockbroker, and you needed that money, you get over your broker, he can get you that money. It takes a minute. But then there's another version of simple cash that's accessible to spend if you find places that. I mean, what's the difference between the easy access, me spending at the coffee shop that accepts it, and easy access of my 10 grand that I need because my well went out? What's the difference there? Is it the same?
There's no difference. It's
okay.
So if you're saying if I only have Bitcoin, I need to pay for a well for $10,000, there's mechanisms to go, and this is what Bitcoin was really in the beginning stages, is you could transfer your Bitcoin to not credit card, excuse me, to gift cards. So
I
there's
see.
somebody out there that lives all on Bitcoin by buying gift cards and using those gift cards at Kroger or at Visa, and that's how they kind of transact day to day, is through gift cards. But
Okay, go ahead.
but I mean, innovation is going to businesses and being like, hey, look, we can set up and transact through Bitcoin if you want to put this on your treasury. Like, this is a really great holding mechanism for businesses right now to create a Bitcoin treasury, just as either a reserve or to put it on their profit books. It's getting there. We just have to talk to businesses about it a little bit more. And that's also one of my goals, is to go around to the chambers and talk about the business portfolios, because we cannot just have this asset being gobbled up by BlackRock and being gobbled up by, MicroStrategies and all of these companies and these governments buying Bitcoin is great for the driving up the cost. But I think everyday citizens really need to benefit from this too. And that is my goal. Loving communities is seeing community adoption, so the little people can thrive. Bitcoin's for the 96%, not the 1%ers. It's for the 99% out there that wants to keep their time and energy, really.
What's the landscape right now as far as retailers accepting it? I mean, like I said, I have seen a few that I paid attention. I've seen that you were at a coffee shop that accepted it. How well is that going? How well is that going locally? Is it far and few between, or is there a whole lot of work you got to do that? Just kind of curious there.
I think that once people see, like, for instance, Steak and Shake just
That's
had their
true. That's
huge
right.
day of acceptance on Friday that they were accepting Bitcoin. I think once people see how much profit is there and the profit margins, the floodgates will open. I heard Chipotle accepted Bitcoin as well as Starbucks, but we don't know about it because those aren't as advertised. But Steak and Shake did a huge rollout.
I forgot that's where I seen you
So yeah,
at.
I think it's going to be gradually, then suddenly. I think everybody's going to really come around.
That's good news.
I agree.
Now, let's say, all right, I know who I would call personally if I wanted to get in. You're just normal person out there. How do you begin? Chris was in here earlier. Kevin and Chris was talking about it, talking about different avenues on how you do that, and it didn't mean anything to me. How do I take my first $100 and do this?
Okay. So how do you take your first $100? So first, I would visit the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council's website, MIBTC. We have a good link. They're who I use right now. We're not profiting off of anything, and anything that they're not a vendor, but I use River Finance as of right now. They are who I've bought Bitcoin through. I've used it very exchange. They have a proof of reserve showing you that your Bitcoin is actually there, and they can't pull the rug out of you like some other companies have in the past, previously. So I use River. So I would download the River app, and then there's mechanisms to hook it up to your bank account. So I'd hook it up to the bank account and do a reoccurring buy every week, whether that's $10 every week, whether that's $100 every week, whether that's $20. I would do a reoccurring buy, because when you do a reoccurring buy weekly, you avoid fees.
Yep.
So that would be my advice. Download River app, hook it up to your bank account, and create a reoccurring buy.
Is it just like any stock though? Like lately, you've seen growth, but just like anything, it's up and down. You just ride it out. What's the severities of that?
Right. Yep.
Oh, she must be at the chat.
Yeah,
we're experiencing a delay that we didn't have in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. He was just asking.
It's really choppy.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's me or you guys.
I think it's you, but who knows? what he was asking is that basically what's the how are the dips and the highs and like what's the severity of it going up and down?
What have you experienced personally, Amber, with highs and lows and any losses or anything? Where are you at with that?
The volatility.
Yeah.
I ride it out. I think that everybody should hold on to it until they see the value. It has gone up. It is the biggest grossing asset in our history. It has gone up since its inception, something like 500%. So
Nice.
go through the highs and lows and buy at the dip.
So just like, anybody that invests in stocks, I've known people that get nervous and matter of fact, after Trump, the stock market fell and some people were freaking out. I'm like, no, this is the time to buy. And then now look at the stock market. It's at 41. But some people get nervous, and in what little investments I have, they're always like, just stay put. My dad's a great example.
Right.
He's seen highs and lows in his investment. He's got a great retirement because of his stock investments in the past. It's always funny to me, somebody like that is say, I took a $30,000 hit on my stocks. And I'm like, okay, what'd you originally put in? All right. You originally put in 20, you're up 50. Now you've lost 30. So you're still up 20. It's always funny when you get old guys that say that. And so it's similar to that. Don't get nervous, type of a deal. Right.
Right. And don't, well, okay, I have to ask you your story now. So your Bitcoin story, you got in early, then what?
I forgot about it. And then I got excited when it hit.
You lost it?
No, I didn't lose it. I forgot it existed because this was literally just pennies we would use. And then one day I read a news article. Actually, one of our regulars at the bar he owned told me, he's like, yeah, it's at like 15,000 a Bitcoin. I'm like, what?
It was like huge news all over. So this goes back 10 years.
Yeah, this is a little while ago.
It goes back 15 years.
Okay, you're aging.
Well, and that's actually something I wrote down, is that everybody's so weird. They're like, well, Bitcoin's so new. Blah. It's not that new.
No, it's not.
It's been around a minute.
No, Kevin's story goes back at least 10, 12 years.
Yeah, that was, the last couple of years you owned the bar. So like 2015, probably 10 years.
Right.
And I had a business partner and he owed the IRS. And so when we cashed it out, I got screwed. But
yeah, the IRS. Yeah.
They
we actually, I remember, I'm like, it was like 80K you were staring at or something, Kevin.
Yeah. We cashed in we cashed in. It would have been 400,000 split between two of us.
Oh, gross.
I remember we were so confident that this was.
You really brought in John Smith?
I know.
He asked, I obliged.
Those Hillsdale guys, they freaking do that all.
John, you're raining on my parade. Do you have to rain on my parade?
Amber, I love you. I love the topic.
Can I do something by myself?
I saw you guys challenged on how to explain why it's important to get invested into Bitcoin. You were talking about how it's for the masses and not for the elite. And really, be honest with you, the elite are buying it up currently as we speak.
Tom Brady has them, giving them away.
So really, honestly, Amber, talking about the decentralization of currency is a big deal.
It's freezing up for me, guys.
It's breaking up for you?
We had an issue, and then Kevin fixed it, and John come in, and now, right.
Am I on delay, Kevin?
Your internet, because it seems fine between us and John, but you keep glitching out a little. But yeah. So,
okay.
Anyways.
Well, if the audience can hear me, I just wanted to help Amber out with it too, because she's like a rock star in this world in Michigan right now. And in all honesty, Russ, you're asking, like, how do you buy and sell gold? Right. If I was to tell you today, gold is a currency, how do you buy and sell gold today?
Same process.
Same process. But this is actually much easier than gold. You have a Cash App on your phone. You have some sort of and it's an application. It's real simple. You download it on your phone, and you can go buy Bitcoin right now, and then you can share that Bitcoin with me or share it with Chipotle, if you will. So like, there's just different ways you can move that around. I wouldn't be so concerned about the ups and downs, even though they are a little bit more tumultuous. It could be a little bit more volatile. But the thing is at the end of the day, you are trying to change your lifestyle from fiat currency into something like Bitcoin.
So, all right.
Can you guys is Amber in? Can she hear us?
Yeah, I think so. You hear us,
Yeah,
Amber?
no, I heard. Thank you for coming in and reiterating points I was already making to steal my thunder. I appreciate it.
Oh, stop it.
Don't be mad at John. Be mad at me. I gave him.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going to
I'm
say, you
dead
better blame Kevin.
God
I
forbid.
want. We don't have much
God
debate on the
forbid.
show.
I have my own effing.
If it wasn't for Amber, I wouldn't have investments into Bitcoin. And so,
Aw.
God bless her.
If it wasn't for Amber, I wouldn't be considering it right now, probably.
Just so the audience knows, and I know you guys know. You mentioned Cash App, John. I was just pulled up my phone. I can buy Cash App or Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot invested myself, but the thing is this is actually what a lot of Americans are kind of stuck with. This idea that we're going to, like Kevin and I, Kevin, are you dependent on Social Security?
Not solely, but yeah, I mean,
are you going to be dependent on it when you're 60, 70 years old? The average person's going to tell you no. They're scared they're not going to have it. Right. So if they're not going to have Social Security, then what is their blanket? How are they going to have wealth to take care of themselves at 70, 80 years old? And if our health isn't getting any better, I'm getting bigger. Russ is getting smaller, but with the medicine, but no, look at, if it wasn't for Amber, I wouldn't have any Bitcoin. And right now, I've made $112 on Bitcoin, or $121 on Bitcoin. And then it's not to say that $121 is a lot of money, and this could go up and down. But the fact of the matter is by being with Amber, being with Shane and the Grand New Party, I've been able to go meet the Bitcoin people that are more advanced than us, and they taught me about decentralized currency and about way of life with this, and using it for the future of my retirement. That $250 that I initially started with projected, and that's, I don't even know if it's being bullish, is projected to be $30,000 in 30 years. I got about 30 more years of good quality life. I don't have a retirement.
30 grand ain't going to be enough.
No, but that's $250. Right now I got 650, and times that by 3. Now that's $90,000, Russ.
Oh, I get it. Here's where I'm going to bring this in, and I always reference my neighbors or something like that. They could give a shit when you talk about decentralizing currency. They're talking. I'm talking to a crazy person here.
Yeah.
All right. I know the importance. I get it. Your normal neighbor, your people that you meet every day, that's all gobbledygook to them. We are in a world where this is important to us. The sell for cryptocurrency isn't to begin with that. The sell is to say, guys, this is a safe place for you to invest. Now, I think it's getting there more and more, but that's where it is. Okay. It's proven to be safe.
For me too. Sorry, Russ.
Go ahead.
It's talking about economic development. It's talking about not being left behind. It's talking about Michigan that has always been the bottom of the barrel and to not adopt stuff. Mm-hmm. Right. We need to start on an upward trajectory. And I feel like we as a state really do the ostrich where we put our head in the sand and we're like, oh, we don't want to know about it. And I think that's where we start is the innovation, the economic development, Michigan's prosperity.
Amber,
that's where we have to start. And I think that opens up people's eyes to be like, okay, I'm listening, right? Michigan's been on the short end of the stick for far too long.
Amber, you're on target on a larger scale. You're very on point. I can't disagree. But we were talking about this before the stream. Bitcoin people, once they're in, when they go to explain it to people who aren't in or are skeptical, you have a tough time explaining it. And when you start talking to normal people about decentralized money and all that, and I don't get me wrong, I get the importance.
Right.
Most people don't. You're over their head. So it comes down to basics of availability to my money. Is it worth my investment? And I think people are starting to realize that. And then the ease of accessing the money.
All right, Russ, let's use you as an example. Pull up your phone right now and download Cash App.
I'm not going to do that. I barely can talk on this microphone
and
right
honestly,
now.
I think I have
I will, though.
a simpler reason or a simpler explanation for what you're saying is at the end of the day, this isn't going to go away.
No.
This will probably replace our currency as we know it.
I think you're right.
Or some version of it. And it's just like any investment. Now people get weird because, oh, well, it's technology investment, but it's
Right.
the same as the stock market.
Yeah, it is.
And what she was explaining, and unless I misconstrued it, you can have Bitcoin in your wallet and you can have Bitcoin invested. So if you need that 10 grand, you can cash, you can sell that Bitcoin invested through your coin exchange or whatever. But you also have $500 cash,
and you can choose
as you're
you can choose what's in your wallet and you can choose what's in your long-term investment.
It's just like,
right.
Bitcoin, pretend Bitcoin is money,
Okay.
but then you take that Bitcoin, and you invest it. Okay, that's harder to get to, but you also have money that's available immediately or very, very quickly.
I would also assume, guys, that just like old people when they retire and you've got $250,000 in your investments, and that you break down to where they take $3,000 a month. You keep your investment. You break down $3,000 a month in your retirement. That could be transferred to your wallet or something like that, structured in that regard, right?
Like a payment. You're saying like a structured payment.
Breaker 19.
Checking, testing.
You can do whatever you want with it, guys. That's
Sorry,
you're overcomplicating the scenario here. Like I just told you, it's like buying and selling gold, and there's a market for gold that goes up, that goes down. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
But this is digitalized.
I don't necessarily think. Right. I don't think that we have to say, oh my gosh, is it going to replace the dollar? First, and I had this great point on social media, we shouldn't be worried if the dollar is replaced by Bitcoin. We should be worried that the dollar is valueless. Number one.
Right.
Yeah.
Number two.
It's essentially the same thing.
We can have a reserve, and I think that any country, whoever, it's going to be like Risk or Stratego, whatever country has the most at the end of the day has the strongest currency. And I think that's what we're going to see once it really catches on, is a reserve that's really going to dictate whose currency is in the lead at the end of the day, maybe, possibly, how I view it.
Amber.
Yeah, but honestly, Russ, another thing is baseball cards can be used as a currency.
Yeah.
Like if a Hornus Wagner rookie card came into your shop today and they're like, hey, I want to buy what X from you, would you not use it, or would you not take it? See, the value of Bitcoin is based off of the value of what people perceive it to be, but it's not much different from currency.
The value of everything is
correct.
This pen is worth $5,000. No, it's not. It's worth, how much is it worth to you?
That's right. And
$5 for it, it's worth $5.
Yeah, for people to buy gold, it's not readily available in their face. For people to buy other investments, it's not readily easily to buy in their face. Now, with like stocks, it's starting to get a little bit easier to manage and stuff like that. Just a few years ago, were not be able to buy, like the common man could not just buy stocks on their phone. So that's become more available. But with the stocks, you got transition price. There's like a lot of tax related stuff with that, and so. It's not as I don't know what the word is, centralized, if you will. You got to do a lot more research on each individual stock. But Bitcoin is completely different, and it's
tied to a company.
Yeah, it's not tied to a company.
Tied
That's
to
correct.
a company that
you guys, you just said something, John. It's simplified, because when you invest in stocks, you got to choose what stocks you want to invest in.
No, Amber's right. It's not tied to a company, and that's what that's really again, it decentralizes it, and now it's for the people. It's for the people money.
You guys just, John, you just said the most important thing to me in my pea brain is when I've invested in stocks, you've got to choose what stocks you want to invest in, or take the advice of a broker of what stocks you want to invest in. There, you don't, you just get in. Of course, you got to choose what crypto you want to be in. That's the only choices you want to be, whether it's Bitcoin or whatever.
But
No,
you don't
just
because like you said,
Bitcoin.
crypto
Just
and
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, two different things.
Okay,
I mean, in a weird way, they are. Yeah, if you get into Bitcoin, you're into Bitcoin. You don't have
Right,
to
I
worry
get it.
about
Crypto is almost like the stock exchange, where Bitcoin is its own identity. I mean, you can almost compare the two.
I'm glad you explained that earlier, Amber.
Actually, Cash App separates stocks and Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's right.
Cash App as well, and
Right.
two completely different portions of the app.
Yeah, I found it kind of pointless to invest in stocks once I started investing in Bitcoin.
Oh, I have a feeling that's where I'll end up being.
I sold the stock I had and bought a little bit of Bitcoin.
Listen, I'm not a stock guy anyhow, like my pops is or something. I rely on the wife's 401k, and
that's why you're poor.
My 401ks, I've already cashed them out and pissed them away, and everything else. Like a lot of Americans,
The average citizen's living paycheck to paycheck, week to week, Ross, and that's real. I mean, that's the average citizen. And that's real deal. The average person's credit card, 10,000 in debt or 5,000 in debt, whatever it is. They maybe student loan debt. People are indebted to their home, or they're indebted to the home that's fallen apart that they can't maintain, or they're indebted to their car. I mean, this is the average citizen. This isn't like
I will say the best investment that most people make in their lives is usually their home.
But not anymore. You're thinking 20 years ago.
Where I live, yes.
But there's no generational wealth out of it anymore.
This was born out of the housing market crash, by the way. And I did want to note that in 2008, the bank bailouts, when our houses weren't worth anything, this was born out of that. Bitcoin was. That's when it came out.
So if it wasn't for Amber and Shane to get me, jumping on me to get into Bitcoin, a lot of people talk about focus and purpose. Like, what's your purpose in life, Kevin? What like, if you don't have a purpose, you're kind of like a nomad. With Bitcoin, there's a purpose, and it's called, for me, it's retirement. So that is going to be my retirement.
Everybody complains about like I said, like, okay, yeah, you own a house, but there's no generational value because my parents own a home. That doesn't translate down because usually the debt involved or whatever, but the sovereignty that Amber talked about with Bitcoin, that's my long term.
Using the word sovereignty, that's a big word to a common citizen. So like, the average citizen doesn't know what that word is, but
I really because that's the way Amber described it. But it made sense to me.
So listen to my oldest son over there, Dad. You got to get all in. You got to go in generational wealth.
Well,
he does know. I just had a conversation with the value of the homes in my neighborhood, and I'm a poor person in my neighborhood, and I'm above average family, but I'm a poor person in my neighborhood. I'm already depending on the equity in my home because it's where I live. It's a tremendous amount of equity, and I'm like, Kevin, I'll be accessing every dime of equity on this home to get me till the day I die. Yeah. So you'll end up with nothing. So Kevin's over there going, yeah, Dad, you need to go get it all in.
Well, it's not that, but great example is my grandmother. She, fell into that reverse mortgage situation. Now she needed it. The reason she did made sense, but there's a million people out there that have no generational wealth because their parents, especially boomer parents, reverse mortgage their home, bought an RV, and drive around the country. When they die, you've got nothing.
In 10 years, I will be reverse mortgaging my home.
Exactly. Why wouldn't you? I don't blame you one bit.
I don't have a choice. Other than if this Bitcoin thing works out for me really, really
the more that people invest into Bitcoin, the higher that goes, and it goes high, and it's gonna go drastically high.
I bought it for less than $1 a Bitcoin.
Also,
15.
Also, like Amber was saying, like Amber and the Michigan people that she deals with, they talk about this because I bring up the same questions you do, Russ. I'm kind of like perplexed, like what does it mean? What like transactional? I'm not even looking at it from a transactional standpoint. I'm looking at it as a retirement savings. So like as far as yes, it can be transactional, but really what's the big saying is on hold, Amber? Like everybody's saying hold it.
Yeah.
H
Yeah,
O yeah,
absolutely. Hold it. I'd
what
hold it's HOLD. Hold on.
for dear life?
Hold for dear. Yeah. Yeah. Hodl. HODL.
Yeah.
Amber, I got a
I,
question for you. Bring it back to Amber because Amber is our guest. By
Yes,
the way,
yes, yes,
today.
yes. Yeah, John's is just
I'll take off, guys. Here, I just wanted to say God bless. Thank you, Amber,
No,
for everything you're doing.
you're
If
good. Stay
I can
now.
I can take off if you guys want.
No,
I
you're
don't
good.
No,
care.
And
I like this dynamic more because it just number one, it just got good where I can't I can see you, and I
Oh,
like
gotcha.
the
yeah,
picture.
that's
I like how
helpful.
it's great.
That the remote stream's working good now. Amber, I have a question for you. You mentioned the chambers and your efforts to expose to the chambers and business. How's those efforts going? How are the county chambers of commerces embracing this? Are some better than others? Where are you at with that?
Well, I mean, I'm just taking off with it, but I already have a lot of interest. I think that we're at the digital age, and I think people are receptive. I'm getting callbacks. I'm getting a lot of interest. So it's there. We're
But
gonna get lots of meetings. I have a really great partner in this that's gonna help out, that knows it way better than me.
so
I
you need to
think
get in front
that's
of the
creating.
chamber. You need to get it in front of local chamber events to do a
Yes.
presentation to explain to the chamber members of what the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council is and the importance of that. Is that what your goal is here? And there's a reason why I'm asking.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's two-part goal. Yes, one, to acknowledge Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council as the Bitcoin hub of Michigan, but two is really just to increase adoption and awareness. I think that businesses in Michigan will thrive if this is on their treasury, if this is on their books, and when businesses in Michigan thrive, the community thrives. So that's the bigger global goal is adoption rates rising.
I think education. I mean, and I mean, I think you said it, but in different terms. I think just education. People are uneducated on Bitcoin, crypto in general, and untrusting.
Well,
And right,
Kevin, people are uneducated on mutual funds. They're
yeah,
uneducated on CDs. And look at government invest heavily into CDs and things like that. And they got like local governments. I don't know about Leone there, Russ, but local governments got heavily involvement into bank interest investments. So it really isn't that much of a difference. And Amber, how long has it been around now?
Oh, wait.
right on there.
Right, it's been around since '08, but this is what's so different than the CDs and the stocks is because honestly, unless you're well educated, those are kind of out of reach for us.
Yeah.
They're
You got to
not,
rely on
and
the
they're
bank.
controlled by the banks. You can be shut down by somebody. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little bit of a story how we're being discriminated against right now today. Just, and it proved the point is we use Stripe right now on our website
Right.
to do cash for memberships. They told me today that they're going to terminate our account because it goes against their
Their
rules.
standards.
I got a PayPal take
And
it
I'm sorry, why? And they're like, we can't really clarify more than that.
because we said
I
so.
go, well, I think you're discriminating against me because of Bitcoin. And I said this in a chat to them, and they're looking into it. But I'm like, you just proved the point why we need Bitcoin. You're going to terminate my account. The
Right.
irony of it is hilarious.
It's because of bad actors,
Um,
unfortunately, and
oh yeah.
banks are like that. We don't want to deal with it, and I think that's what the general population is like. Well, I'm not going to deal with it. I have
And
20 in my
as we
wallet.
run into more and more of these problems too, it causes for a reason why you invest into Bitcoin or use it for transactional purposes.
But
That's
it's
just a prime example.
It will cause more
circling
trust.
back around, though, this is very tangible to the everyday person. We have people that are so invested that became Bitcoin millionaires that go to little communities in like Latin America, third world countries, give them a cell phone because they have, Starlight or whatever, the internet pings, just give them a cell phone with a Bitcoin wallet on it and have the community invest together and start a circular economy through that. You have these very poor communities doing that. That's how El Salvador came to really turn the tide from criminal to now being one of the safest countries with their maximum security. This is it's investing in smaller communities saying, hey, trade this amongst yourselves, use it as currency, and you see them thrive. And somebody, I won't mention who, I was having a conversation like, well, for third world countries, that makes sense, but America, not really. And I'm like, so you want these third world countries to accept Bitcoin and rise? That's the worst thing you could say for
That's
America.
how we become third world
that,
country.
oh, we don't need it, because then we'll be
Yeah,
outperformed
have
by
you
a
ever been
third
to
world
Chalmers?
country. Exactly.
Have you ever been to Chalmers or Gratiot? I mean, third world nation.
Yes, I have.
Oh, true. Parts of Jackson are somewhat like that.
Real quick, circle back. We're talking about banking and whatnot. You mentioned the 401k, and I think the biggest thing that resonates with me, unless I'm mistaken, is that a 401k you invest in over time. As you work, you invest. With Bitcoin, you could blow through your wallet and then have $10 and reinvest in Bitcoin.
Right.
For 401k, you have to now you switch jobs, so now you got to set that up, and it's really that simple.
They take it out of your paycheck every week. It goes someplace you really don't know where it goes. They send you a statement every couple of months, and you're like, "Oh, I'm up," or "Gosh, I'm down," or "I'm broke even." You have really no control. You could probably take a little bit more control of it, but they don't structure it to where it's easy to do that. I'm just like everybody. I've been invested in 401s. My wife currently is, and but you have no control. There's zero. I mean, not zero, but it's limited.
And just like Amber said,
you got to call a guy.
Your bank that your 401k is at could just one day go, we're going to terminate it. They did that with me with PayPal. The industry I worked in, they were like, because of other bad actors, they're like, oh no, it came from this source, so we're just going to take your money. And it wasn't a lot of money, but it was like $500, and that PayPal's gone. Where'd that money go? They don't tell you. They can't. They're like, we don't know.
Amber told a story to where they stopped took her off a platform because of that. And your story, and the first thing that came to mind is social credit score that doesn't exist but does exist. You know what I'm saying?
Always has.
We're not accepting you because of something you believe in or a platform that you talk through. It is very disgusting to me.
It's going to be more relevant as we move forward. I think it's actually going to be worse than ever as we move forward.
I think what it is they're never going to say, guess what? We're under a social credit score now. All of a sudden you're living in it.
Well, we have been for a long time.
Right.
We just don't know.
Well, you're going to be living in it more and more and more and more.
Oh yeah.
Your banks are already doing it, of course, and in a lot of credit unions, even you could say my credit union doesn't do that, but in some small sense, they already do it because then they get limited at their access if they don't play ball.
Well, and I mean, the more screwed up part of it with my PayPal thing, I was indirectly associated with the adult industry. It wasn't a OnlyFans model or something, but part of my income came from a sector of that. And then PayPal just went, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. So sorry about it.
Yeah, freaks aren't allowed, Kevin.
Yeah, apparently I wasn't even freak. I just did marketing. I'm just marketing. And because part of that income came from the adult industry, They just said, yep, you're done. No explanation, no appeal. I appealed it, and they just didn't respond.
Well, banks used to not give loans to porn stars and things like that back in the 70s. That was a common thing.
Fargo, I think, was pulling accounts, and not like some of these OnlyFans models were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars, like just gone. We're not going to let you have an account anymore, and we're not going to refund you. And like that's criminal, if you ask me. Like they stole that money, regardless of where it came from.
So as far as security goes, like I said earlier, you said it, Amber, the quantum computer. That was the only thing that I recently heard that
Cutting in and out again, guys. Sorry.
That was the only thing that I was sort of concerned about. But I mean, like it's been around for 15 years. I mean, in 30 years, you're going to be like, well, it's only been around for 30 years.
Right.
So I mean, like it's just a matter of time. I mean, really, honestly, if you're like me, where you got very low hopes of Social Security, you got if you want to take control of your own retirement, I think Bitcoin really is the best option.
I agree.
I think government should be using it at least as a tool to offset investments. There's no reason not to. I know Donald Trump did, and other governments are starting to do it now. I mean, if you're seeing governments doing it, why aren't we doing it?
Or
When
maybe,
Nancy Pelosi's making the trades, you should make the trade.
right, you can keep track of your trades now.
Did we talk about? Isn't there an app that you can
Yes.
track Nancy? Or was it me
Yes.
and you? We talked.
You can track all their
Yeah,
investments.
their investments. Just follow them.
Right. Guys, I think I've said at the beginning of the stream, I think it was a conversation I was having with you, John, and we were talking about something else, but you never know where our conversations go. And I remember hanging up the phone, telling the wife, I said, I guess we got to take $100 and throw it at Bitcoin. And we haven't done so. It's been a couple months. I will say, I've been really good over my life, to make money, but I'm horrible at keeping my money. And if it wasn't for my wife, I'd probably live in a refrigerator box. I really would. I really would.
That's most of us dudes, Russ.
I've made great money over the years, and I've also pissed away in bad investments. And it doesn't faze me. I'll make money again. But thankfully for my wife, and she drives me nuts sometimes. She's the careful one, and I would have to get approval for that 100. Well, I usually have 100 in my wallet somewhere, but we will be sure to get right on that.
You just buy on the dips. Don't look at the price where you purchase. Just purchase on the dips, and you'll be fine.
Well, you got to learn where those dips are. So what's $100? You throw $100 at it, and then you're looking at highs and lows and dips, and you see a dip. Oh, let's do it up. Throw another 50, throw another 100 or whatever. Is that your
Well, you would have doubled your money at November if you would have threw $100 in right now. So just so you're aware.
And those lines you showed me coming on there, those are dips.
There's the highs and lows right there. Cash App. Right now, I have nothing invested on Bitcoin Cash App, and I can see the highs and lows, the dips, and everything.
I see.
No problems. I mean, it's that simple.
So I purchased at 60-something thousand, and then it went up to 105, and then it dropped to 80, and I bought at 80, and now it's back up to 105. Like that's you just do it like that.
Yeah, it's like I said. You mentioned Cash App. I didn't even think about that. It really makes it really simple. And on Cash App, it shows like the trends for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, and then all time. And it's the same thing. You can see the ups and downs.
You sure don't have access like that in your 401s.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
you don't.
And what Amber's doing is, and what the rest of the guys are doing with Amber is promoting Bitcoin so more people can get in early. But as those people are getting in early, it does build the Bitcoin up and the value up. So we all benefit when more people get involved.
And to touch on that, I think it's important. I'd written it down. Don't think that you're behind the 8 ball on this. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, the millionaires made their millions. No. Like you said, 2% globally. That's a tiny amount. You by no means this is still cutting edge stuff because people are kicking the can and dragging feet.
Yeah, so it's not about the total amount of Bitcoin of value. It's about what you can put in.
Right.
So and that's really all it is. But you don't have to buy one coin. What we're doing is we're buying fractions of coins.
Right.
So you can't buy a fraction of a penny.
I wouldn't even picture it as the whole coin concept and fraction. I would even almost block that out of my mind. It is all right. I'm in. There's a chart. I'm making money. It's dipping. I'm buying. Oh, I better stay put. I could care less about the whole. Maybe that's what gets people confused.
Right. Well, like Amber said, you set up through the River, whatever account, whatever app you use with the reoccurring, set it and forget it.
Oh, right.
Well, Amber, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have grown for excitement when Bitcoin's down. Is that like what it is for the other guys that have a lot more invested? Are they like excited when Bitcoin goes down so they can purchase more?
Yeah.
I could see where that would be fun for me. I would like that.
You'll spend a lot of time staring at that
It's
card.
fun, but somebody,
It'll stress you out. Promise.
yeah. Oh yeah, I stare out the
It's
chart
constant.
all day.
It's better than desk scrolling, but
It's
I'd
exciting.
be
It's
fixed
kind of
at.
like a gamble, but
I'd be all on it. I
Not
know I
really.
would be.
I had. That's why I have to put mine down.
Yeah, I'd be all on it.
Amber, what's the next big event? Are we going to get people there?
what, John?
What's the next big event? You shared over an event to me.
Ugh.
Oh, is it cutting out?
Yeah, she's frustrated.
Yeah, I checked the stream health. It looks like her internet's a little weak. I'm not sure why, but
It's me. I'm
Yeah.
always the problem.
she's connected to that McDonald's Wi-Fi next door. So
No, the Steak and Shake Wi-Fi that accepts.
No, believe it or not, I'm at a communications company.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, so yes, there are a couple. Can you hear me? Are you
Yes.
good?
Go ahead.
Yeah. There are a couple events coming up. So I have an educational Bitcoin 101 in Wayne County coming up on June. Let's see here.
If you have a graphic, send it over to
June
Kevin. He can share
3rd.
it.
Yeah, I'll send everything over. So June 3rd, there's going to be a Bitcoin 101. June 6th, there's going to be a Bitcoin 101 in Hastings. And I mean, once people know what we do, they're kind of like, yeah, come out. I mean, I could fill the room because
Right.
people want to know this information. And
you
like
feed-
we've
do you
talked
feed
about it,
people?
it's accessible. What?
Do you feed people? If we show up, do we
Well,
get
so
food?
one of them is, yes, one of them in Hastings
I'm in.
is
I'm in. Let's go.
you get pizza. I mean, we gotta
Oh,
get a
my
little bit
God.
more,
I like pizza.
fancier pizza.
No bad pizza.
And then on on July 31st, we're having a big Lansing rally, and it's called Paint Lansing Orange. And we are looking to have, Bitcoin vendors. We're looking to combine with the hunters to make it like a whole big coming together of two communities, pro freedom, personal sovereignty mixed with land rights. I think it's going to be a really good time, but it's to show strength in numbers, right? It's
Right.
to bring together two organizations that wouldn't necessarily work together for one common goal, to show that, well, because we both like orange, but to show that we're a force to be reckoned with.
I like it.
I think that a good question is, with all that being said, and I know there's a lot of inside stuff trying to clarify it, but I think when it boils down, what is step one?
Education.
All right.
Okay,
Step
let
one
me
would
rephrase the
be
question. I guess I want to invest in Bitcoin. I have $20. What's step one? Where do I go? What do I do?
you download an application like River, Swan, Cash App. And I like Cash App because I think Jack Dorsey owns it, and he's really into Bitcoin and the maximalist Bitcoin life of trading, right? You have people that are like, oh, I just want to hold it. My opinion is, if you don't spend it, if it doesn't have an intrinsic value, you're holding nothing, right? At some point, we're all going to have the Bitcoins divvied out. And if we don't use it as a medium of exchange, the value goes down, in my
I think
opinion.
that depends if you want to save it for investment, like John said, for retirement, or if you're looking for something for you to depend on to spend on a normal basis.
Well,
You
the
know,
popularity of this gets bigger if it's more transactional. So, I think that's where, like, if Chipotle's taking it and you're using it at Chipotle, and the next you got the guy next to you is asking you, "Wait, you're using Bitcoin? Well, how do I start doing that?"
Yeah.
And it just takes off that way. So
But
I
then
think
Chipotle has to come around and be like, well, I'm going to pay my employees in profit sharing in Bitcoin, right? You have to have these companies spreading the wealth behind the scenes as well. Because, like you're saying, Kevin, at what point is it not valuable after an investment? At what point, if we're not using Bitcoin, is it not valuable?
And the main purpose of it being created was for the sovereignty of getting out the fiat currency. So,
Right.
so the transactional piece is actually probably the most important, but from a personal standpoint, the investment is the most important to you personally.
I'm interested in both.
Yeah, exactly. I would. I mean, just like cash. I have some money invested. I have some money I can spend.
Right.
I mean, you can keep that money in the bank and hope to collect that 0.5%, and then when push comes to shove, is it safe? I would say it's still safe in today's market, but I mean, but when something hits the fan, it's not safe, and
Right.
It's
All
not.
right.
I think it's safer than our
there's
dollar
risk on
bill.
everything we do here. But I mean, I think Bitcoin has shown it's been around for a little bit. I don't know where the heavy risk assessment is. I mean, it went down heavily through COVID, just like everything else did.
But
I
that
think
was also, there's a reason though for that. So in COVID, there was a lot of the miners that were based out of China, and then China cracked down on mining Bitcoin. So that little
Okay.
blip there was because the miners, and we're talking, when people think miners, it's not a physical human being, it's a device. It's a computer device.
Yeah, like a
They
little
got the
computer.
heck out of China, went to Texas. That's why there was a little more of a blip, and COVID in general, but that was a good
But I
time.
mean, we
That would
haven't
have been
seen.
a good time to buy.
You have never seen a dip like that before, like since. I mean, it hasn't been there hasn't been a dip to where it got down to $3,000 a coin.
There are people during
Right.
COVID that lost everything. Their business, their homes, their everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, my business failed
everything
through COVID.
during COVID. That was a weird time.
our
Yeah.
treasurer Karen Wooten,
So
she
the
lost
yes,
a
so the
37-year business over COVID.
Yeah, it was overnight.
The government couldn't give her enough money to keep that business open.
But if she would have invested in Bitcoin,
Right.
exactly.
but it didn't dip to zero.
No, it didn't. So, Kevin, the first step is to find a trusted application, Coinbase, and start investing. Start doing $10 a month. And then once you get up to a solid amount, like I'd say in the thousands, then we could talk about what the next step is, and that's personal custody. But I think, the first step is downloading an app, putting it on your bank account, and setting up a buy and forgetting about it for at least 6 months.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's my Bitcoin 101 advice is going to be. And there will be eventually, as I'm going around, a small fee to get in. But I think that in the end, it's going to be, you're going to get the value back in Bitcoin, because unless I download it for you and say, hey,
Right.
come on, $10 to get in, but you're going to give you $5 back, because I think that that's how I got hooked. I saw it on my phone and I saw the numbers go up and down, and I'm like, oh, this is something. This is fun.
Right.
So
But knowing
I
and
could see
having
the
saved,
fun in
it'll
it.
go
I
up.
could see the fun in small investment. I could see me liking that, and then it turning into, hey, it would be more. I gotta say something, Amber. So Mrs. Russ does not watch Stick to the Plan podcast. You know how she is.
No one watches Stick to the Plan podcast.
She loves me and she likes us all, but she doesn't. But so I'm jokingly saying this though. Since she didn't watch the stream today to get educated like she should have, she might have to call Amber.
I'll put some short clips together. She can
Please
watch
do.
us.
You know that I love your wife anytime.
Actually, you should get her to come out and do that event with Amber.
She will not do that.
that's not a Mrs. Russ thing.
She might for Amber. You'd be surprised she might for Amber, but my wife's participation in the things that I do is very limited.
But she is a
We'll
people
have to do it.
person.
We'll have to do it at the Christmas party.
She does like the annual Christmas party because it's fun. If it's not fun, I mean like fun, she's staying at home.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
Yeah, I don't-
And actually, that was a great segue into the next question I had. How do we contact you or your organization, or if for people that do have questions?
The website.
Absolutely. So it's mibtc.org is the organization. And I am always reachable by phone. I'll give out my phone number because I'm crazy like that. 248-935-1546. And my email is amber@mibtc.org.
Okay.
And I'm sure we're going to set up something soon in the Jackson area for a Bitcoin 101.
Awesome. And I'll put all that information down in the description after the show. If anyone's curious.
I always like to have you guys in Jackson for any reason. That's for reason for my existence.
See, I have a petition to keep John out of Jackson, but not enough signatures
Well,
yet.
there's a whole series of paperwork that I'm supposed to fill out every time he does come to Jackson. I got to submit it to City Hall.
Yeah.
Oh
In
my
triplicate.
gosh,
I
you're
got to
so
get
funny.
approved at the county commission. We usually just sneak him in.
Yeah. We just get him in the back door.
But gentlemen, I have to run to another
right.
meeting.
Could-
It was
could- could
so
J-
much
could-
fun.
Could Jackson be the first city in Michigan to use Bitcoin as investment?
Well,
I
no,
was
there's
think-
already cities.
Oh, is there in Michigan?
The cool.
Mhm.
We'll be the first cool city.
What Michigan cities though, Amber? Real quick before you head out.
So Detroit is accepting taxes in Bitcoin. So what we need to do though is we
Right.
need to set up a treasury mechanism. And actually, the state of Michigan invests some of its pension fund into Bitcoin as well. But there
Right.
is no like treasury reserve. So we could sit down with the Jackson treasurer and talk about what a Jackson treasurer Bitcoin reserve looks
I
like.
have real
They
good.
do it in Roswell. Roswell, New Mexico was the first city to set up a treasury Bitcoin.
Okay.
Bitcoin is from the aliens. That makes sense.
That's what I said. I said the aliens always outsmart us.
I have pretty good access to our county treasurer, but I don't know how interested she'd be in that. Although one of these days I might just push Amber in front of her if the timing
That's
like.
what you do.
Hey, you
Stick me
gotta
on
meet-
them and I'll go
By the
for
way,
it.
here's Amber Harris, and I just walk away.
I would be
It's a
doing
good time
the
to do it,
treasurer.
Ross.
Huh?
You got some synergy in Jackson right now. You got some county commissioners on your side. You got the other people like clerks and various things coming to your meetings. So there's a good chance that you could probably get something like this through.
Amber, I wanted to say, and I don't want to misconstrue this for whatever reason. I know why I've gotten involved with the Jackson Chamber pretty hard in the last year, and it's to promote the Jackson GOP. But for whatever reason, they like me. I don't.
I don't get it.
I know, and I'm not saying I can, but I might be able to help with access to the Jackson Chamber. They
Perfect.
just, I don't know why they like me, but they do.
I think it's good. And then
And I get
also,
pushback.
once the
I get
bills
pushback
start
from the
going,
people that
we'll
are
just
against
do
the
it.
chamber, but the chamber's done really good at promoting stuff for us. I've just tried to be everywhere, So
Well, let's let Amber go. I know
All right.
she's doing the digital version of.
Guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Love you, Amber. And thank you for Amber for everything you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you guys. Thank you.
thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber. Just us and John again.
All right, you know what? It was a little scattery, but I think we got somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin, for your questions.
I had some already has been thinking about it since we talked that she was gonna be on the show, and like I said, and I mentioned I got screwed with Bitcoin, but it had nothing to do with Bitcoin.
right.
It had everything to do actually with the IRS, which is that's what we're trying to decentralize away from.
And she said it jokingly, John, but I think she was a little legitimately annoyed that you popped on, John. But after a while, she was cool with it. She was having connection problems,
Yeah.
and once she can get into the conversation, we know how Amber is. And
I made a producer
but
decision.
I thought you brought.
I don't regret it at one point.
I think John brought a little clarity too. It
Yes.
helped.
That's
Well,
what
look, guys, honestly, gentlemen, each person's going to invest the way they want to invest into any investment period for whatever reason that is. Bitcoin is an escape for retirement, maybe for some people that otherwise don't have retirement. And so something you could do is you could dip in $10, $20, $100, whatever it is, each time you want to invest. You could do it like you guys were saying, like once a week or whatever it is, but you could do it once an hour. It don't really make a difference. So
once a year, you can really with
right.
with
I think I've done three
$1 even. I guess
right. I've done like 3 purchases, Kevin, since November, I think. So so I don't do it every week or anything. I just do it when I think I got some extra money that I was going to use at the bar anyway. So just throw some money in there and really be honest with you, like you were saying, Russ, you want to use it for transactional and for investment. I think that's absolutely awesome if you could do that. I don't have the money to do transactional just yet for that. or I guess I haven't used it as a mode to do that yet. But as more companies start taking it, I think you're going to see that.
I agree. I think once it's going to gain trust. Right now, trust is the big issue. But even though people that know, so it's going to take those trusted companies, those trusted businesses to start using it for us to trust it more.
All right, it's something that I wasn't able to bring up earlier, and that you just hit upon too. I think the trust factor has diminished a lot with Bitcoin. I really do. It's been around long enough. You got Trump talking about it and getting involved. The trust factor has diminished.
Yeah. Credibility's always been a problem with it.
But no, let me finish this. I think now the next step is the access portion that I had questions on. How do old people that you got to explain that access, and that access is pretty simple. I get it. I didn't know how simple it was. I think the trust factor has diminished. I really do. And then I also think about small business owners that belong to the chamber. Most small business owners are very smart people, and you don't need to educate them a whole lot on what Bitcoin is. So it's just one step away for them to accept it. I would imagine, or how easy you need to explain to how easy and how it's harmless for them to start accepting Bitcoin. I think they're at that point.
Well, it's automatic. Like you talk about ease of access with Cash App, because I have bought Bitcoin off of Cash App before, and then I went, I could use that $5, so I pushed the button, and $5 went right into my Cash App balance, and I swiped my card.
Right.
It's that quick, that simple.
It's Venmo, it's PayPal, it's everything else that Apple Pay. It's sort of the same concept transactional wise.
It's using a debit card. It's you have money here, and you don't know how, but you swipe your card, and the money goes to them. That's it. It's really that simple.
And it's not controlled. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's not
regulated.
It's not regulated. That's what I mean.
That's a better. Yeah, I knew where you're getting. So we got to start wrapping up.
How much time we got?
We are an hour and 22 minutes in.
All right, let's
you want to kick me out? If you guys need to kick me out, that's fine. I just wanted to mention one last thing, though, Russ. You brought it up, and that is the Chamber of Commerce over there.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, getting Amber in front of those people will be a big deal. And what's really interesting, Russ, is that Chamber of Commerce likes you. Your local body of government likes you too. This is the birthplace of the Republican Party, and she's trying to mix this next event with hunters. Like, they like freedom with their guns, they like freedom with their money, and so this is actually a blossoming thing. I think, really, honestly, you should give that a real good effort.
I don't know if this is a suggestion, and I'm sure the Michigan Bitcoin Trade Council probably has $250 to be a member.
Maybe. I'll check.
I've noticed that people were able to get in front of the entire chamber at an event are new members, and they're willing to, whatever, sponsor the morning breakfast once a month or whatever. Maybe that's the angle. I don't know if my connection, but hey, I got to throw this person at you, will work or not. I'm not opposed to checking into it. But
every shot.
There's a lot of chambers that they would have to join in order to, but if they were to join those chambers, they'll put you in front of their people. They have for me.
But they'd have to accept Bitcoin.
That's true. We would give you the $250, but you have to accept Bitcoin.
Yeah, I got it Bitcoin, and they're like,
it's actually, that's not a bad idea, guys. If they were to open up their account and accept Bitcoin, we will pay it. That type of thing. That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it?
That's an angle. That's a conversation we'll have off string for Amber.
I was like, if they give me $250 worth of Bitcoin, I will go down to the council and pay them cash. Whatever.
All right,
that's good for me.
Let's get John.
All right,
Thank you, John.
Bye, buddy.
Love you guys.
Yep.
See you.
Yeah, that was. I think that we cleared up a lot of things and also made a lot of questions.
I'll throw $100 at it tonight.
I've got about 100 in, and I've been thinking about putting another. I've been thinking about putting 5 in.
I can see me throwing 100 at it, and then I'll be watching all the time. And every time I get some fence money that Sarah don't has any, I'll be throwing in, or I could see me getting all paying attention and watching and wanting in, and
right. And you will. I literally have to put the phone down.
There's a dip. I'm gonna borrow
Rob Peter to pay Paul
to find $100 because I'm not in this dip.
Well, because I did the same thing when I first started doing stock investments. I would watch it, but the thing is, the stock market doesn't trade on the weekends. Bitcoin is always trading,
and
always.
Trading is, although they made trading simpler, it's not as easy to trade no. As it is with
I'm trying to figure out why I lost so much money investing in water. I drink a lot of water. But yeah, no, I think I didn't know that the Michigan Bitcoin Commission or whatever is it
Trade Council.
Thank you. Even existed.
Oh, me neither until Amber got hired.
Yeah.
No, I get this. I am on the Grand New Party board, and they had been talking about it, but I wasn't paying attention at that point in time. I went until Amber got hired, and they hired a great person for it.
Right.
Amber has been successful at all her executive roles. She's usually wanted in those roles.
Right.
She'll and she usually believes in what she's in on, or she wouldn't do it. So
yeah, well, she's a marketing whiz too,
and it's probably nothing she went to school for. You know how I am, Kevin. Your best marketers it's a natural ability.
Yeah, you have to be able to sell not only yourself but a product.
Yeah,
that no one knows about. And if you're successful at it, you're successful. If you're not, then and the other thing I wanted to bring up is I touched on it. I said, during COVID, yeah, Bitcoin dipped, but nobody knows anyone that ever lost money in Bitcoin. Bitcoin never went to zero, never went negative. It never cost you money. Oh man, I lost 30 grand in Bitcoin. Yeah, but you only invested $100.
Well, I say that about family members that have been in their retirement in their stocks.
Yeah.
Your initial investment was $10,000. You're up to $50,000.
Yep.
And now they're bitching that, oh my God, I just lost $10,000 in the stock market yesterday. I'm scratching my head. No, you're still up 30 or 40 or whatever it is. Your loss was, to me, loss is my initial investment.
Yeah, but people don't think that way. And I get it.
That's the way you're supposed to think. But
I fell into that trap during the Biden administration because I had not a lot. I have a few things invested. By that mindset, I lost about $8,000, but I didn't lose $8,000. I didn't put $8,000 into it.
You lost part of your gain in your investment. You didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Technically speaking, I was still up.
Yeah,
and not as far up as I was during Trump's first administration. But
we're going to talk about, before we go real quick, the reason why I don't always usually wear a hat on the stream. But last week I did wear my favorite hat, my Jackson GOP ball cap that you can buy on jacksongop.org on our online store. And I'm not going to go into this, but we had more than average viewership live last week because
we had some YouTubers.
That's right. The Rogers campaign was highly concerned about Shane Trejo being on the stream. And I'm going to say heat, but it really wasn't heat. I did get a call from their campaign, and we're all good. We're all good here. I do want to be clear to people. I'm not Shane. Okay. And I said that in the stream before, and no, at this point, Mike Rogers is not my preferred candidate in the primary. He's the only candidate in the primary at this point in time. So, okay, as a Republican, he is. I'm hoping some others get in. I live by the word, as a great Republican, fight like hell in the primaries for your candidate, but circle the wagon in the general. And I did that with Mike Rogers. I probably put more Mike Rogers signs in the ground than anybody in Jackson County, Kevin. You know how
you have a tendency to do that across the board.
I do. How
many Trump signs did you put up?
There's a small percentage in the party that dislikes Mike Rogers to an extent that they won't even vote for Mike in the general. I think that's wrong. I do not think that is a driving factor why Mike Rogers lost in the last election to Alyssa Slotkin. If anything, it's a fraction of the reason.
Yeah.
people might take credit for or blame that group for it, and it does exist to a certain point. I talked to Mike since then, since his campaign talked to me, and me and Mike Rogers are fine. Okay. And and that'll lead into, we're in the initial talks today. Maybe I got the text now. I don't know. Mike candidate for U.S. Senate, Mike Rogers, will be coming to Jackson, hopefully sometime in June. We're shooting for June 20th.
Michigan Senate.
What did I say?
U.S.
Oh, no. It's for U.S. Senate.
U.S. Senate?
U.S. Senate. What
was his last run? Did I get that confused?
For U.S. Senate. Oh, all right.
Yeah, but this time he's running for.
It's U.S. Senate.
It's U.S. Senate. Okay.
Let me explain why.
I misunderstood.
Debbie Stabisal.
Yeah.
Retired, opening up that seat.
Okay.
It was Rogers against Slotkin.
Yep.
Rogers lost against Slotkin. Peters, our current Democratic U.S. Senator, has announced he will not be running again.
Yes.
Opening his seat again. So Mike Rogers is going to take another stab at it.
Okay. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So
I was.
Now he only lost, I think, by 20,000 votes in the last one.
It took forever to get the results in on that one. It was so close.
It sure did. Maybe there's poo involved. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that the fraction of Republicans that disliked him changed the game. I don't think that was significant.
I think it's more than you think, because guess what? Even if they didn't vote for Slotkin, let's pretend they didn't vote at all.
You're right.
That's a vote for Slotkin.
Yeah, that's right.
At least in the realm, because they assume that Republicans are going to vote for Republicans.
Kevin, I'm going to say this right now. That might not be my preferred candidate going into the primary. He's the only one right now.
Right. There'll be one. There'll be another.
Well, there's no secret. There's qualified people like Jonathan Lindsay, who is highly considering running, and there's others. There's Congressman Huizenga. There's others. We don't know if they're going to run. Right. Okay, so right now, Mike Rogers is the only one. There is a guy out of Monroe County, a dentist, that I think stowed his hat in his ring. That's great. But significant candidate, that's the only one. But I'll say it right now. He may or may not be my guy running through this primary. But you know what? I think he would be a great U.S. Senator. There's like Shane think that he wouldn't be a good U.S. Senator. There's been problems in the past that would make when he was a congressman, that grassroots have issues with. But to me, those issues, the Patriot Act, I was like, yeah, we need the Patriot Act. We got to fight the terrorists. We were
all going to call on that.
I did not look at the slippery slope and how the Patriot Act was used against U.S. citizens. Mm-hmm. Mike Rogers, I don't know if when him and other congressmen at the time, their intention wasn't to spy on U.S. citizens. Some will disagree with me. It ultimately ended up that way.
Yeah, somewhere down the line, I think that was the original goal. But I think that our actual representatives, I don't think that was the thought. They're the same as us, going, yeah, let's fight the terrorists.
The only one that claims that she recognized the slippery slope of the Patriot Act back when the Patriot Act was on the table is Karen Wooten. She said, she was like, no, that's a bad idea, guys. I wasn't one of them. But that's a lot of things in government we have to be careful of. Be careful what you ask for. I'm dealing with that at a township level on a small scale.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, you created this ordinance, and now look at what we got to deal with.
Yeah, now there's an ordinance to the ordinance to an ordinance.
You didn't know
that government is this much bigger.
You didn't know that the ordinance that you created 3 years ago was going to affect something now with an organization that you like and love. You be careful what you ask for.
Right.
I'm big on that. But back to the hat.
Yes.
So
the hat.
Our viewers last week, Kevin goes, boy, we got more live viewers. Well, that's because half the Rogers campaign was watching the stream.
Thanks for watching, guys.
And that's fine. And then after the campaign contacted me, I talked to Todd Gilman. I said, Todd, you can't believe what just happened here. And me and Todd had a conversation about it. And I want to be clear to people, and this is a hard one for people to realize. The Stick to Plan podcast is not a Jackson GOP podcast.
No.
Okay? It is a Russ and Kevin podcast.
Yes.
Okay? I talk about a lot of GOP stuff. That's my life. This is what I do. But Todd goes, that's great, Russ. But it didn't help that you wore your Jackson GOP ball cap. I went, oh, Todd Gilman.
Yeah, well, I wear my Grandma's Boy podcast hat all the time, and if a lot of the viewers watch the Grandma's Boy podcast, they might look differently upon me on this show. Always be promoting.
It's hard to separate Jackson GOP affiliated because the chairman of the Jackson GOP does a personal podcast. It is not a representative of the Jackson GOP. Believe me, most of the people in the Jackson GOP are like, yeah, Russ, this or that. I get it. But it is not. But I did wear the ball cap. So today, no ball cap. It just happens to be my most comfortable hat.
Yeah. I ordered one.
I almost wore my Mock Fence and More hat. I should probably represent an advertiser for us.
Yeah.
It hurts my head after a while. Anyways, Mike Rogers, I'm trying really hard to get him to come to Jackson. I'm shooting for June 26th. That is not confirmed. And he will do a meet and greet here at the Jackson GOP. We might do a 15 or 20 people round table at a restaurant. That'd be a select number of selected people for and against Mike Rogers. He wants tough questions, but he's going to come. Hopefully, he said he'd come to Jackson, shake hands, kiss babies, take direct questions from people. And that's exactly what a GOP is supposed to do. And I want to make it clear, any candidate that runs for U.S. Senator, I would offer the same opportunity. And same thing for candidates for governor, the Jackson GOP. It doesn't matter who you are. We would give you an opportunity to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's that. But that was interesting last week.
Yeah, when you called me, I was taken back by it even because I called you. I missed the call. I called you right back, and I was like, what?
Yeah. And it had everything to do with Shane.
All of a sudden, we're a controversial show.
Yeah. By the way, our viewership throughout the week was no different than any other week.
No, we just started a little higher, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, we did well last week.
No, we've been doing decent.
Yeah, we've been building.
Enough of Mike Rogers. I told Mike that if Jonathan Lindsay gets in, I'm in with Jonathan Lindsay.
Yeah.
If Jonathan Lindsay does not get in, I will consider the options, and there's a high probability I might be on the Mike Rogers side of things. More than likely, I will be. But that's up to Jonathan Lindsay. He does not know if he's running. Not. He is considering. He has a lot of support in the 5th district.
I agree,
and he should.
I think at the baseline of it, anyways, like Mike Rogers has to look at Jonathan Lindsay and go, he's a pretty decent candidate. I mean, if you're going voting record for voting record,
time served,
everything. I mean, Jonathan Lindsay is kind of a badass.
So
in a lot of ways,
when you look at Lindsay, you're almost looking at J.D. Vance.
Yeah.
Ivy League school, Marine or military service.
Yeah.
Now they did him flip flop. JD didn't have the opportunity to go to an Ivy League school until after he did his service in the military.
Right.
Where Jonathan had the ability to go to Ivy League school, and then after an Ivy League degree, he decided to join and become a Green Beret.
Yeah.
But beautiful family, just like they even look a little bit alike, the same age.
Yeah, that's kind of.
He's very so on point. He'd be a great candidate.
Yeah,
he'd be a great candidate.
I agree. I mean, I've always liked Jonathan, you know that, and it's funny that JD came up because I was about JD until recently. I'm like, JD's kind of a badass too.
You roll out the wife, and she's such a great mom, and the kids are running across the tarmac coming off Air Force 2 and all that.
Yeah.
The Lindsay family are in that same category. My God.
Yeah.
Just young families, smart, educated, access to things outside of Michigan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I won't go into that. But it's exciting times. I do worry that we got 14 months before the primary. And by God, this is how am I going to survive 14 months of different candidates?
Well, because after the 14 months, what happens then? You start it all over.
Well, at least we're fighting Democrats then.
Yeah. Well, you're constantly. Yeah. I mean, you got your primary, and then
I like fighting Democrats. I hate fighting Republicans. I hate it.
Well, Republicans have guns too. You don't want to fight them.
Yeah. You know,
the Green Berets and shit.
it occurred to me the difference between, and now I'll probably get a call from Shane, the difference between Shane and what he did. He went out and has a platform to destroy in his world Mike Rogers. I know for a fact he did such a good job. He got out of the way in the general. He did not say anything during the general, but he did so much in the primary. It flacked back onto the general.
Like you said, fight like hell during the.
Yeah, he did. He fought like hell more than anybody. Here's the difference. I had a candidate that I told everybody that I was supporting. I was a Sandy Penciler guy.
Yeah.
Until he dropped out, and I went over to Doc Sherry. I fought for my candidate.
Yeah.
I don't know what candidate Shane was supporting during the primary.
Right.
His goal, his mission was to stop Mike Rogers. I'm going to assume it was Penciler, but I don't know that.
Right.
So there's kind of the difference between the two of us. I'm not saying what is wrong.
I think that's what makes it. That's why we live in a democracy, in a republic. Like, I mean, if you don't have that, you just have one guy ruling it all.
In my opinion, you should find your candidate, wave the flag for your candidate, do what you got to do to get your candidate. And I don't know quite clear who Shane's candidate was during the last primary.
Right.
I do know who Shane's candidate probably would be if Lindsey drops in.
Well, yeah, I don't think I trust anyone that wouldn't.
I don't know how happy Lindsey is about Shane being on his side. They know each other.
He likes the vote.
Yeah,
he'll take the vote.
He might say, "Hey, Shane, be careful with it here." Anyways, that's enough about Mike Rogers. I'll say it now. I've told people close to me, and we talked about it when we were talking to Amber. The Jackson GOP has been a member of the Jackson Chamber for a couple of years. In the last year, I've gotten somewhat involved in their activities and got to know people, and they helped us do our ribbon cutting and all that. Whatever reason, I fit their role or whatever. And I know on Hits Home Jackson, the great show put on by Grandma's Boy Production, John Wilson's been critical of the chamber and what I'm about to say, Drive Jackson. They've created the Drive Jackson initiative. The county approved $50K to go to the effort, and I believe the city has $200K. Drive Jackson, 20-year plan for Jackson. I agree with John. I wish this hadn't been partially funded by the government. It should have been partially funded elsewhere. I'm not John Wilson when it comes to this. You need initiatives like this. Anyways, I've been appointed to that board for 20 of us have been appointed to the Drive Jackson initiative, and they have chose me out of 100 applicants. And we meet Wednesday for the public announcement of the Drive Jackson board. And just to let you know, I'm already one of them 20 people. I will be sitting on this with Mayor Mahoney, Chairman Shotwell, and all those favorite people John Wilson loves a whole lot.
Oh yeah, he's a big Mahoney supporter.
But they went down through and picked a whole array of people.
Right.
They've got a teenager. They've got a real estate broker. They have Russ Jennings. They have the mayor. They have the chairman of the. They went down through the different economic. Portions and stuff like that. I've been told that this 20 people board is well diverse across their community.
Which it should be.
So after we bury my uncle Wednesday morning.
Yeah. By the way, I have a doctor's appointment that morning.
All right.
That's not.
I lost an uncle a couple of weeks ago, and it's not until after they pass you get thinking, boy, he's pretty special in my life. He was always there for advice, whether it was wrong or right. Usually it was right. He helped my grandparents build a home when I was a young teenager, and I am not a construction guy, but I at least learned some basics off him. He made a career in building in the concrete business, and we lost him a couple of weeks. And so his funeral is Wednesday. Of course, I'm going to attend. And then right after that, I got to run to this Drive Jackson thing.
Yeah.
But at least I'll have my funeral clothes on.
Yeah, you'll look nice. And it's funny because obviously he's a great uncle to me, and he was always around, and,
Always.
but I will never forget like one thing he said, which is crazy because it wasn't really like around him a lot, and that was when Aunt Chris and Uncle Matt found out they were having a girl.
Oh,
and he said, the problem, because he's got
Two
got 2 girls. He goes, the problem with with girls is if you have a boy, you got 1 penis to worry about. With girls, you have all the penises.
You got a million.
And it stuck with me. I was little. We were on Grandpa's boat.
I've used that saying before, and I think you're right. I think I first heard that from Dave.
It was. I remember it was on Grandpa's boat.
Yeah,
down there in Coldwater, Michigan, and he's smoking his stinky cigars, and he said that, and it stuck with me. I don't know why.
He was a good guy. He was always around when you needed him, and in his retirement age. If I had time and I was in the neighborhood that I grew up in, by the way, and every now and then you go to the neighborhood you grew up in, I knew in the morning I could catch him out chain smoking cigarettes in the garage. And he was the type of guy that I you could pull up and grab a chair and just sit there and kick the shit.
I've done it a couple times.
Yeah. And my aunt, who is blood related, would be in the house. I sometimes wouldn't even go and see her. It was a guy thing, and he was into politics. He was a big Trump guy. He ran for township supervisor a couple times. So we were online with that. He was a huge Trump guy. His neighbors liked him. Sometimes the neighbors would be around. It's just one of those things. So
he was a well-liked guy. He'll be missed.
Yeah, he'll be missed. Oh, boss. Also, too, they bought the Brooklyn Road property off me and Sarah when we needed to sell it. We needed some money, and he was always there. They're just always there. My aunt's doing well. I'm sure she's struggling. Losing a 53 or 5 or 7 year old spouse. But that's that. And then I go to Drive Jackson. I got to mention the golf outing on June 14th. Guys, we need teams. We need teams. If you've committed verbally to a team, we need you to please go to jacksongop.org and let's get this lined up. We're running out of time here. I think it still will be a successful event. I just need the confirmed. I heard just recently the hardest thing about donations is going to collect the check.
Yeah.
And we're in that situation right now. We've got people that really are going to join. I need those checks, people. We need them to get in. Turning Point Action, AFP. They're there. They'll be there.
I'm sure it'll work out with those guys.
Let's remind everybody of Chris Baird and Dave Jones's new podcast that drops once a week. I think on Wednesday. Stars, Stripes.
No, it'll be twice a week. He said Sunday and Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
Sunday and Wednesday at 5. Stars, Stripes, and Straight Talk.
Yep, I'm pretty sure
it's a 30-minute stream. You just jump on for 30 minutes and listen to these guys.
Yep.
Chris is a talented guy. Dave is a super smart guy. It'll be worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I just a little bit that I was exposed, getting them set up, and they're just brainstorming. I'm excited for the show. Actually, I think it'll be interesting.
I've learned something recently. We made Chris Baird our chief of staff for the Jackson GOP. And that's to help me and the treasurer and the secretary and the vice chair, and primarily me. But he's there to help everybody, and he's extremely helpful. But let me tell you, when you pick a talented person to help you, they actually create work for you.
Yep.
He is so full of ideas and so full of this and that and everything. I'm like, this isn't helping me. This is putting more on my plate.
Yeah.
But it's all for positive. I jokingly say that. We did a good choice with making him chief of staff, and he's got his own political opinions, and so did Dave. Remember Dave and the buckets?
The buckets. I still don't fully understand, but I understand.
They still use the buckets. I seen Carla Wagner from Axe My Tax talking the other day. Oh, she was with Kevin Ranke on his podcast, and she used the buckets.
Yeah, the buckets is a great analogy, but I couldn't tell you what it is. But when they told me, I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Kevin, before we go,
yes, this
is it. Axe My Tax is great, all right, but there's a new effort, and I'm jumping in on this with my friend Randy Guppy in Newaygo County. He's got a state rep that's willing to consider. I'm going to get with Kathy Schmaltz, but we need to stop allowing special elections random, willy-nilly. That's how all these millages get passed.
May elections.
It's stupid. We want a legislation to where millage proposals can only be during the midterms and in the presidential election season. And if they fail, you can't come back for 2 more years.
Yeah,
this is bullshit.
It's just like a politician or a candidate running. If they fail, they got to wait 2 more years.
This is bullshit. If thankfully the Blackman public safety millage passed, okay?
Yeah.
I was a no vote on that because it was in May. But if it would have failed, they would have come back in August. They would have come back in November until that's bullshit. Schools do it all the time.
Yeah.
We done. Now, that don't mean they don't change the wording.
Yeah.
I think they always change the wording, but
a little bit.
There needs to be some teeth in there. No, you're done. You got 1 shot and you don't get another one for 2 years.
I agree.
News, I'll get the final numbers here. Just as a guest, my township clerk, with absentees that are sent to your home, they call them AVs.
Yeah.
You would think that would get more people to vote in special elections. Less than 15% were turned in. That means people got the ballot in the mail, threw it on the table, and didn't vote for a millage.
Yeah. Another great example. So that day I went down and voted. Grandma lives right around the corner. Stopped in to say hi to her. I said, "Hey, Grandma, did you vote?" Grandma votes in every.
She didn't on that?
She didn't even know it was happening.
Is she on the AV being old? Or she goes
she goes down and votes.
Oh.
She
So, I had some people complaining about that. With your tax bills, they sent mailers, the township did. It was on their Facebook page. Grandma's on Facebook. She probably doesn't like Leone Township, whatever. I'm sure she's limited in her access on Facebook, but she's there.
Yeah.
I don't know what we could have done other than knock on people's doors and say there was a special millage. Also East Jackson, people complaining they didn't know East Jackson had a school millage.
Right.
They had a billboard on 127 and Page.
People don't pay attention.
They don't.
They don't. They're in their own world.
Special elections, they're expensive, and they're utilized by municipalities and schools to cram approvals in.
Yeah.
Now, I heard statewide, though, that was significantly less than in the past. People are catching on and are saying, hell no to these millages. We want to fund these organizations, but something needs to change.
It's always shady.
Let the majority of the voters make the
same. When I voted, you put your ballot in the ballot counting box thing, and I happened to notice the amount of ballots, and I was there later.
I was 51. It was 5 o'clock.
I was at like 37.
I was 515. I was number 51.
Are you precinct 1 or 2?
I'm precinct 1. I think Grandma's in 2.
No, well, I was in I voted inside the hall, not in the.
I was at back.
Okay, so we're opposite, yeah. But yeah, there's like 30. I think 37.
I think when that number comes up, that's total number.
Yeah,
Kevin.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's even sadder.
Yep.
But yeah, with Grandma, when I brought it up, she's like, "I guess I'm gonna have to start going to township meetings or more again." And I'm like, "Oh, Dad's gonna love that."
That's right. Believe it or not, there's way worse haters than Grandma Betty at this point in time.
Yeah, she's usually pretty good about it. Yeah. She'll get fired up. But real quick too, I had one thing. I wanted, and you brought her up. I wanted to say thank you and a shout out to Kathy Schmaltz. I had an issue with a car insurance company. Screwing me around. I'm not going to get into the long story. And I was like, screw it. So I contacted Kathy, emailed her, and someone from her office, her assistant or aide or whatever, contacted me with all the information I needed to report them to the state regulatory, all this stuff, followed up with me, everything to the point where I had probably 15 unreplied emails from them or to them that they never got back to me. Within 24 hours, they got back to me and said the check's in the mail.
Yeah, they're pretty responsive. Maybe using that name, Russell Jennings, helped.
Well, that is my email. Don't think I didn't use it.
No, they're responsive no matter who you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I didn't, try to drop any names or anything. I didn't expect anything extra, but she is our representative. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you to Kathy.
I'm glad that got resolved for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we're out of here.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
JXNGOP.org.
Yep. And you can donate to the show right here. Support the show at ko-fi.com/STTP pod. You can donate while we're live or when we're not live.
Can we make that easier?
Like what?
Donate here, and then it's hidden.
Well, all they have to do is push that link.
Oh, it's a link. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
it's a link. You push that, and then that also will alert us here on the stream that we got, so we could,
We never get those alerts.
One time we've gotten one donation ever, but we could celebrate like in Pee Wee's Playhouse when they say the secret word.
Okay.
Whatever
All
we want to do. So,
All right.
Anyway, that's all I have though.
Nice show.
Yeah, I had a good time. So, all right, guys. Well, everybody, take it easy, be safe out there, and back next Monday.
Yeah, I don't know who.
I don't. Okay,
We'll figure it
just
out.
let me know. Look for there'll be some clips up because I got a couple clips I want to grab from last week and this week. I think.
Well, I told you that I was going to try to send you at least one clip a week, and I'll start doing that. Of something key part of the show, and 2-3 minute clip.
Yeah,
people like them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, guys. We'll take it easy, and we will see you next time. I think where's the button? There it is. Make sure you follow this channel, guys. Like the video and donate. Why not? Don't be cheap. So we can go eat food at or go eat at the Shamrock or something.
Shamrock, yeah.
I'm sorry, this is not cooperating. There we go. See you guys.